Hi guys. Today I'm gonna tell you how you can find your art style, or should I say how you develop your art style. Because you actually have an art style already, even if you think you don't. If you're new to my channel, my name is Darana and I'm concept artist and illustrator. And what do I mean when I say that you already have an art style? So it's like with handwriting. In the beginning we all learn to write in the same way. And it all looks the same, especially if you learn how to write the cursive, you know. But the more you write, your handwriting style changes because it's a summary of who you are. So it's exactly the same with art style. Art style is a summary of who you are as a person, all your experiences, what you like, what you dislike. When you're just starting out to draw, especially if you learn how to draw like academical art, how to draw realistic art, it seems like you don't really have an art style. But the more you draw, the more you look at art that you like, the more you just live, the more your art style is gonna show up. And I actually gonna show you an exercise today that's gonna help you to kickstart this development. Here you can see my older images, and maybe you can already see like the beginning of my art style. I didn't even saw that I have any special art style. I thought like it's all look very realistic, which is not actually. Later I did a couple of studies of my favorite artists in the same way that I'm gonna show you today. And after that I kinda learned how to stylize stuff in the way that I liked, but I still had a lot of problems to stylize something that I drew from life. Whenever I drew something from the photo or like a person from life, I just couldn't get it. It's always like kind of realistic. But one day it clicked in my head. So here you can see my old sketches that I did from people from Subway. And you can see that they're all kind of realistic, even though I really tried to stylize them. I just couldn't. But one day I saw myself in this metal part of the toilet paper holder, something like that. And as you can imagine, my face was all distorted. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, I got it. So I went home and I did this sketch. From this moment I could just stylize people even when I saw them. So now I'm gonna show you the exercise I was talking about. So first you need to pick a reference image, something that you already drew, maybe a character, I don't know, a flying head, an object, something in your current style, and also something that it's not so complicated. So I chose this image and I'm gonna use that as my starting point. Second, you need to choose a couple of your favorite artists that you really admire and love and would love to draw as they do. Don't choose just one artist, because we don't want to be a carbon copy of someone else. We want to diversify our inspiration. So choose at least two, but the more the better. It just depends on how much time you have to do this exercise. As my first artist, I chose Leyendecker. He was an American illustrator in the beginning of 20th century, and I just love his art. Somehow I never did study of him, which is weird, so I'm gonna fix it today. My second inspiration is Mucha. He was a Czech illustrator that lived in France in the end of 19th century and beginning of 20th century. He worked in this Art Nouveau style that you can clearly see in his images. And my third inspiration that I chose for today is actually kinda unusual. It's an artist that still lives today, from Russia. His name is Artur Makhomedov, or Popkins, as you maybe have seen on the internet. I'm gonna post his links in the description. I just love his style, the way how he uses color and shapes, and how he paints materials, and I wanted to do a study of him for a very long time. So today is my lucky day. So after you chose your favorite artist to study, choose several images from one artist. Don't choose just one. You have to choose, well, at least 4, but the more the better. Let's start with Leyendecker. When I look at his art, the first thing I notice is that he uses semi-straight lines that are slightly curved in many cases. Combined with sharp angles, it creates a chiseled, stylized look. I also notice a lot of square forms in his shape language. He is very graphic in his stylization and very good at simplifying complicated shapes, as hair, for example, as you can see here. His most recognizable style signature is how he handles shading with these very distinguishable straight strokes. Often they follow the form, as in these cases, but sometimes they are placed diagonally on the subject or around it with some space apart. Usually if you see this on the artwork, it's either Leyendecker or somebody imitating his style. He often places rim light on his subjects and also darker outline, and it creates this interesting effect. At last, I noticed that he mostly uses pretty warm colors, especially in the shadows. So let's break down Mucha style. First thing that I noticed in these beautiful works is a dark outline around most of the things, but especially main subjects. He combines this with very soft, almost non-existing shading. Most of the shading is on faces, but some places are just gradients of flat colors. Interesting that he brings a lot of detail to eyes, lips and nose, leaving the rest of the face very smooth. He uses texture contrast a lot, where he leaves hands and faces free of detail, and then puts a lot of texture and details everywhere else. This creates beautiful contrast, where the first thing you see is this girl's eyes and hands. One of his signature shape language is these beautiful curves and flowy lines that are so memorable in Art Nouveau style. He was one to bring this aesthetic to the masses and cement it in our art history. Let's take a look at Popkins' artwork now. Bright contrasting colors are probably the first thing you notice when you look at his work. He is very good at material rendering, and most of his shapes feel very soft. His mastery in rendering various materials creates this striking physical look. He often uses semi-transparent or transparent materials, often in interesting context. In contrast with Leyendecker's straight lines, Popkins is making everything very round, flowy and soft. And with his realistic rendering, you almost want to take and squish it. So now when I broke down every artist, you should do the same as your artist, like look at the art and try to really identify key points of their style. Take a brush and draw over it and try to break down its simple shapes and try to understand what makes their art unique and special. So when we did that with all the artists, we're gonna take them one by one and do a quick study of their style. Again, we are not copying their art. We are recreating our own illustration in their style. Don't worry if you fail. The goal of this exercise is not to create perfect illustrations that you can post online, but rather to train yourself. Force your brain to think differently, to see stuff differently. So let's do a study of Leyendecker. First, I'm trying to match his angular shape language. A lot of straight lines and sharp angles. I try to make it look as squarish as I can. I also tweak face proportions of my character to be more realistic and elongated, because I naturally make everything a bit too squished and wide. It takes a lot of tweaking, trial and error. After I'm done with my sketch, I fill in base colors as I usually do. I choose very orange colors for the skin to push myself more into his style. When shading, I try to make my shadows as warm as possible while making my highlights colder than I usually do. I try to imitate his straight brush strokes and often try to follow the shape as he does. I noticed that he uses darker outline around his sharp shadows, so I also try to imitate that. If you wonder what it is for the window in the left bottom corner, it's a plugin that I really love and use for several years at this point. It's called Brusherator, and it's basically a quick access menu for brushes, tools, actions and scripts. I really recommend it if you want to speed up your workflow. The link in the description below. The hair was a struggle for me, and in the end I did it closer to my own style rather than his, but I used imitation of his brush strokes and tried to simplify it as much as I can. I took the lightning scheme from this artwork, but I changed rim light to be from another side. In the end, I added a bunch of graphical strokes and details to push myself to think differently and more like he would do. Overall, I learned a lot from this study. In particular, these subtle ways how he manages lighting on his subjects. Let's do Mucha study now. As always, I start with a sketch and try to catch the overall shape language of the artist. Mucha uses a lot of flowy, curvy lines. He also has this dreamy feeling in his works, and I try to reflect that by positioning my character in this certain way and making her look down on us with this dreamy gaze and a light smile. She got a very long neck because I noticed that Mucha often exaggerates necks in his illustrations. I made her hair very wavy and curvy, trying to imitate his stylization. For colors, I chose these light, almost pastel colors to match the mood. Because Mucha often adds floral elements to his work, I also painted in some flowers here and there. I'm not gonna render them too much because this is just a study and all I'm doing is deconstructing another artist and basically taking visual notes. Before I started shading, I made some rough line work, going lighter inside of the subject and much heavier on the outside. If you wonder what it is the tool I'm using for the smooth lines, it's a plugin called Nezumi. I will put a link down below. Unfortunately, it's available only for Windows. But as far as I know, Photoshop has built-in lazy mouse feature for quite some time now. This is not sponsored, I just really love the plugin and I use it for 9 years at this point. With shading I tried to go super light, way lighter than I usually do. I concentrated the most of it on the facial features, leaving the rest as undefined as I could. I really enjoyed doing that one, and it's interesting to see how my character transformed with his style. Let's do study of Popkins now. First thing that I'm trying to match here is his bubbly shape language. You can notice how many round shapes I'm using as a base for this one. I'm also tweaking proportions and facial features to reflect his characters more. For the hair I'm doing this bubbly, drippy slime thingy. I chose yellow and blue as my primary colors because I see that he uses it often. I'm not copying or color dropping his artwork straight away. So I'm naturally bringing a bit of myself in this study and mixing it all together. I also decided to render everything semi-transparent because it's something he does a lot and I love how it works. So it's a good practice. I also did skin very shiny to work in contrast with matte hair. Overall, I tried to make my character look very physical, round, bright, bubbly and squishy, because I think this reflects Popkins' art style the most. I really like how it turned out. So let's summarize it. First you pick something that you already drew, or you draw something simple for this exercise. Then you pick at least 2 artists that you really admire and you really love the style of. And you break down their style and the key points. Remember to not copy the artist straight away and do not choose just one image, choose several so you can see the common theme in this artist's uniqueness. And if you fail with your image, if it looks nothing like this artist's style, even remotely, it's fine, because you succeed with the exercise's goal. The goal is to push your brain into this direction to start thinking about stuff in different way. You don't have to do this exercise often. In fact, you don't have to do it at all to find your art style, because your art style is already there, remember? It's gonna just appear more and more the more you draw. But if you need to speed up things a little bit, you can do this exercise and hopefully it's gonna help you to start stylize more your illustrations in the way that you like. Hope it was helpful. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe. By the way, write in the comments down below who is your favorite artist. And I see you in the next one. Kinda right, similar, especially... So fuck you. It uses a lot of... he uses a lot of contra. Bye.